we're just going to play the League of Legends the same way that it was. That's what it sort of felt like to me, watching professional play on this patch. So
sure. I mean, also, you know, when we watched LEC, like when Olaf got insanely nerfed, they were still playing him, whereas Korea was like, nope, that is not a champion anymore. So
I am okay with this.
We'll see where we head for this, because obviously the jungle priority has been really high in LCK still. You know, on the last patch and now going to this one, I think it will still be. We saw Nidalee and Lilia jump to the top of the priority with all those nerfs that came through for Olaf, the Sterox gauge, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see if that ends up being the case here too, because I think you can make a big standout performance if every jungle is nerfed, right? That can actually sometimes put you above the rest. If you're a player like Pyoshik, it's like it's a hard time to be a jungler, but I know how to handle that kind of situation. And farming jungles, I think, will still be very powerful. Not as powerful as they were before, but with less experience and less money, you got to get it faster, right? If you're if you want to rush to that level 6, if you want to get that high impact, get those items faster, you know, sometimes if you're unsuccessful at ganking with some of the ganking junglers, you're going to struggle more than something like Nidalee or Lilia. So I think that's my theory here. I think those are still going to be super high priority here in the LCK.
I believe so too. At the moment, we've got a lot of targeted banning going on here. As you can see, Solka going to lose his Syndra. There was the question mark on whether or not we're going to see the Syndra out of UCal. Hasn't actually played it so far you know, ever since the start of the LCK. So curious, not going to see it though, as Kai'Sa's still going to be first picked. We mentioned this. Yeah, you hit her Q just a little bit. Yeah, she's still going to be pretty strong.
She's still great. She's still very good. She's so versatile. And where does DRX go from here? Because this is where you could grab the Lilia, when it is now being highlighted.
Ooh, okay. It's the Xayah answer.
Yeah.
We saw Tristana last week be very, very powerful into the Kai'Sa, but still going to be the Feathers lady towards the bottom side of the map that DRX are going to be leaning towards.
DRX have a really versatile bottom lane in terms of what they like to draft. We'll see Udyr picked actually
and
over.
And it's Pyoshik's as well.
Yeah, Udyr over the Lilia. Well, their bottom lane is not one you necessarily have to grab up early, but they really want the Xayah in this case. So a bit of a departure here from what we normally see from them. I mean, they were even putting like Becca on to the Senna right before. So there's a lot that these guys can do. For KT now, if you want to grab the Victor, I think now's your chance. I mean, it's going to be banned away from UCal almost 100% in that second phase. And we'll get the Rakan here.
Interesting. Feels like a bit of a pick away. We've seen the Kai'Sa Rakan lane a lot, but I don't know how much I like it necessarily, especially blind, because now DRX can just go ahead and grab Leona if they want to, and can feel pretty good about where they're sitting in the draft. But UCal is just going to take away the Gnar. We mentioned this earlier. King pretty good playing into Gnars, but KT will now have some bans for an opportunity to, you know, try and mitigate what could be a bit of a problem, unless they just lock in Aurelia right here, which would be just kind of awesome.
That would be pretty. It would be pretty bold. They could do it. They also could go for the Camille, again, slightly nerfed on this patch and has fallen out quite a bit. But that's another option. I don't think you want to grab Gangplank here. If you're going to do that, you probably want to wait until the end of the draft to lock that one up. Try to maybe draw a ban on that. They'll go for the Jace, though, actually. Another really strong option here against the Gnar. And picked up very early. So this is a big departure from how DRX normally draft.
Yeah, a little bit more flexible as well, theoretically, because you can put Jace in the mid lane if you would like to. So I guess, you know, there is that. They will have a lot of physical damage if that's what they're going to do, but they could theoretically get something like a Gragas and run with that for some magic damage. But I digress, getting a little bit ahead of myself, as picking the Jace does mean that that Leona that we were talking about does get banned, and now KT can make that bottom lane as comfy as they possibly can by removing yet another support.
Looks like that's what they're going to focus on here, since obviously the Jace been picked up right now. You could even go for an Alistar ban here as well, if you want to just really limit the opportunities, limit the possibilities.
True. Nautilus as well does pair pretty well with the Xayah, and might be something that they might like to remove, as there is Hecarim being taken away.
Yeah, obviously Hecarim very popular in the LEC even before this patch came through. Definitely something we could see Gideon go back to, but not going to be available this time. I am curious where he's going to go, because we've gone like really deep into this draft where, you know, Pyoshik grabbed the Udyr early, and the Lilia that we were talking about was left open. Now it's banned, and Nidalee is the only other option that's quote unquote meta, right, in terms of the farming jungles that we have left. So that could just be where Gideon goes here.
Yeah, Gideon did like playing the Kayn as well. Wasn't 100% successful, but did find a victory on the champion. He wasn't necessarily touched in this patch outside of the jungle being changed.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3-0 on the Nidalee. So it's not a bad option for him. They banned the Orianna, so this means that Alistar is open, is going to be taken away here by DRX. So pretty solid bottom side of the map. We knew that UCal was going to go for the victor.
Yeah.
This was not a secret. You know, if there was like a glitch and we never got to see it, I would have probably like bet everything I owned that it was going to be the victor lock-in. And they're just waiting this time out, and they're going to look for the final pick, the jungle pick here, which seems like they don't have a concrete plan on, right? Which is a little bit worrisome. If you're going to go all the way to the end of the draft here and don't have an exact plan of where you want your jungle to be, if you're going to like save this until the end.
I don't really like Nidalee here because they don't have a lot of like reliable CC in their lanes.
Yeah.
And so it means that she is just mainly going to be on farming duty,
which is nerfed,
and trying to get around the jungle. Yeah, exactly.
So
not Nidalee lanes.
Yeah, if they had something like I mean, even if they had an AD mid laner that could get prio and could push super hard to allow her to get a little bit more done on the red side of the map, I'd like it more. But when you're going for the victor, a lot of AP damage here doesn't really, you know, lend itself towards ganking. Like you said, there's no CC.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I like this a lot more.
Yeah, we've like almost committed to poke. Although there is an Udyr who definitely does not participate in that one at all, but from the solo lanes, things definitely looking pretty pokey out of DRX. I don't mind it. It means that they can play around objectives very well. Also will give you some more of that priority, assuming that Solka can take some control of his lane. Zoe's a bit up and down when it comes to getting prio, but we'll see how Solka's going to do. I definitely have been impressed by him so far this season.
The other thing too about this draft for DRX is, like, you know, you've said it many times, Pyosik kind of becomes a mobile ward, right? In the later parts of the game, he can clear wards very quickly. He's very difficult to catch. He's very difficult to trap and kill, especially because KT don't have great CC unless he gets caught out by Rakan or a Gnar. He can roam around and get so much vision for the Zoe to actually get that damage done, that chip damage from the sidelines, especially around those objective fights later on. So even though functionally in a team fight, like if in terms of front to back and setting up stuns, there's, you know, the Udyr is not a great frontliner and he doesn't, you know, he doesn't synergize perfectly well. But look, they have the Alistar too, and I think there's a lot of ways that these fights go well around vision control for the side of DRX. So I like their draft a lot better here, frankly, Atlas.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I actually like the idea of, you know, putting more of the emphasis on getting vision and controlling areas, and that's what a poke comp generally relies on in a lot of cases. If you can't see your enemy, it's very difficult to poke them, you know? So that does mean that Pyosik is going to be vital in, you know, in that regard as we move further forward. A bit janky on the other side, though. I don't know how I feel about KT's draft this time around. I feel like the Nidalee feels a little bit out of place, but we'll just have to see how they utilize it as we hop onto the Rift for game number 1 of Week 7, LCK Spring 2021. 7 weeks. I can't believe it. Am I getting old? Is that my problem? I don't know.
I mean, usually, in my experience, when time passes quickly, it's a good sign that, I mean, it's sad because it's passing quickly, but at the same time, it feels like you're having a great time. Like, time always passes slowly when you're miserable, right?
Time flies when you're having fun? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, right? Like, when you're enjoying things, you never want things to end. You don't want them to go away. You don't want them to fly by. And
true.
It's a good sign that we're having a good season and we're having a good year here, I think, when you feel that way. And I feel that way, too. I feel like I'm like, wow, I can't believe we're almost done with regular season.
It's a bit of a blink and you missed it type thing, but we do still have 4 weeks left to experience. We are in Week 7, but this is the very first game of it. So theoretically, we have this whole week as well. So looking forward to seeing how things are going to develop, because now is the time where things get exciting, where it's all about playoffs and all about seeing who is going to be able to go the distance. As it is going to be Pyosik with his definitely not Udyr skin. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and speaking of playoffs, you know, we talked about it a little bit in the standings. I just want to throw this aside out. If you're an Afrika fan, you are hoping that DRX 2-0 here.
Oh, yes.
Because it is going to make things a lot harder if KT are able to get an upset win here. They're going to get points that are much harder for you to get if you're Afrika to actually get that top 6 spot. So something to keep in mind. And we're kind of, you know, occasionally bring these things up in the next few weeks as they become more relevant.
Yep. Same thing can be said for Nongshim as well, who do have the same match scoreline as Afrika. So theoretically, if they can turn around their prospects, they're in a similar circumstance. So if you like your ramen, you know, then maybe you should be barracking for them. Definitely did look better in their last match, although it was against Live Sandbox, so, you know, grain of salt, if you please. As Kingin, let's see how the Jace goes into the Gnar. Certainly is a decent matchup, not necessarily one of these hard counters that are just going to get solo kills and things like that. Back to back, if you don't mind, if you remember Keen.
Yeah.
But the Jace certainly will have lane priority, and that's exactly what the Udyr needs. And remember, this is Pyosik. He knows how to get himself a draft that does work for the Udyr, because he doesn't lose too much on this champion. He's certainly the one to watch when it comes to the play of this champ.
Yeah, and I think that you know, it's a matchup that goes well for the Jace at the beginning, and then a lot of how it goes in the middle parts of the game before, you know, the laning phase really ends is just based on the situation, based on junglers and, you know, just personal skill, right?
Yeah, and how things went in the lane beforehand as well.
So for, you know, for Doran right now, as long as he stays stable, he's got a really good chance to turn this around. But Pyosik, he's got other ideas. He is on a ward.
Yep, Doran going to try and get away from this turret right now as he gets slapped. That's a big boop with the chicken damage, as you can see. Ward. I believe they know that because the minions did follow Pyosik for a little bit of extra time.
Yeah, I mean, he went cloth start. It's going to help you survive this, but he does not want to deal with the burst damage under turret. You'd rather just walk away there. And ends up wasting quite a bit of the time there for Pyosik.
The grand entrance is Zeus going to get knocked up by Becca. Just some biffo, testing the waters here for both of our bottom lanes. As Kingin is just relentlessly shoving this wave over and over again into the turret. And this is one of those good news stories for our Udyr player. Lane priority is exactly what he requires. And he headed home, grabbed himself his Grump. Well, actually, maybe he just booked it all the way down there. I'm not entirely sure, but he is down the bottom side now.
He is down there. Did not get the second scuttle. It ended up being a trade. Yep. See the Udyrs get away with that one, but not in this case. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how the jungle shapes up between these two. Obviously, they're both fast farming jungles, but they won't be able to get the items as quickly as they would without any ganks, without any assist gold.
Oh, there's the big crunch wallop.
Doran's like, okay,
I'm much at all.
He's like, I'm slowly going to be able to play the game eventually.
Well, he pressed W there and nothing really happened.
Nope.
Which is not super great. As Kingin finds a lot of damage, and Doran's going to have to go home. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually almost threatening flash there. That was actually really scary.
Yeah.
I jinxed him. He almost got to play the game for a second, and then, nope. I mean, that's what happens. You get full comboed by the Jace in melee, and then you run away, and then he just tosses out a shock blast, and you can just die. Just like that. And then you lose CS because you're like, oh, I can't be under turret anymore. He has to use teleport after going back.
It's one of these awkward things, though. Like, why priority pick the Gnar? Like, that aggressively, right? Like, there are already, you know, a lot of things that can be picked into the Gnar. He's not safe whatsoever. Because that bubble somehow landed. The Sokka's going to be able to find some Paddle Star damage there as well. And
yeah, there are some, you know, champions that you can pick that early. I think that play weak side just fine, like the Scion, for example, or the Gragas. That if you're going to run to this match, it'll be okay. This one, I mean, you're just under threat of death. King, you know, he did finally go back because he ran out of mana, but he's just like ready to blast all that mana out again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I don't know where the upside is from picking the Gnar this early, but there you go. 6-2, actually, as the Nidalee so far here in the LCK has definitely been very, very good.
Very quick Drake here, taken for Pyosik, completely uncontested at the moment, so that's a nice, great start here.
Gets a scuttle as well immediately afterwards. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, a lot of action on the bottom side of the map, and this bot duo for DRX is working out very well. Not able to, KT's not able to stop this from happening. I mean, it's been a very passive game outside of the potential kills here on the top side of the map, but DRX with a very nice lead because of that control over the bottom river.
Well, there's a big Gnar back as Kingin is going to be the target. Doran actually takes a lot of damage there as I believe he jumped into a shock blast. But there's the flash, Gideon going to get that takedown, but Kingin should be able to make it underneath this turret, and the boulder is not going to connect.
Dodging bullets.
Indeed.
Kingin totally fine, up 30 CS. I mean, that's about as much as you can get away with. You know, you push that hard, and the gank comes through, and you're still able to escape. Like, you're feeling like you robbed a bank, and you know, all the cameras were disabled. Like, you're just totally gonna get away with it. Like, you're like, okay, I guess there's no consequences for my actions. I'm just going to be massively ahead.
And if that spear didn't land, I don't think he even needed to flash, which
Yeah.
is the absolutely crazy part. The acceleration gate, pretty good ability as it turns out. But Doran, he's able to at least get this lane finally shoved in. Has himself some shoes, but that's about it. And Kingen does purchase his tier, makes his way back into the lane, and will continue to be absolutely fine. No flash, and Doran does have his, so I guess, you know, it should alleviate some of the pressure here for the Gnar, but probably not all of it.
Yeah, I mean, this lane, this bottom lane, Zeus and Hybrid are keeping up with the CS in terms of making sure they're stabilized under this turret. They keep the waves frozen just outside of turret range. But they are constantly being pushed, and that means the priority in bot and mid. It makes it so much easier for Pyosik to make things happen like this, right?
Yeah.
He was able to get the Drake for free, and now it looks like they're just going to steal this Herald away because the top matchup is going so poorly for Doran, obviously, at this stage of the game, that he can't help, and they're outnumbered, out-prioed, and Gideon just has to sit back, and he knows this is happening, but he simply cannot stop it. So it's a great early game start here for DRX. They just have total control over the map. And the pace.
And you can see the bottom side of the map, like Hybrid and Zeus are just trying to keep the lane as close to their turret as they possibly can, which does mean that DRX are just going to continue to have control over these minion waves, and it's no surprise, right? Like, we already stated that DRX was going to have a lot of control when it came to the lanes. Pyosik was going to be able to do his Udyr things, and he's absolutely done that. They've taken the first Mountain Drake. They've taken the Herald. That's a great double knock up there, as the quickness does come out as well. Hybrid, not quite able to get the damage that he wants, though. And they just invest some buttons, but otherwise not too much actually going to come of it.
Okay, this is really reaching, I think. Gideon trying to hide this Nidalee.
Well, Kingen is going to go aggressive.
Okay.
There's the dive back in. Just baited pretty well there by Doran.
Wow. I was like, I mean, if he makes a huge mistake, he just assumes you're not there. You could get something out of this. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of time. But guess what? Game sense is real here for Gideon.
Yeah.
And that was a really well done trap there. And bait, as you said. And that's actually first blood.
Yeah, set him up, knock him down. Like it a lot here, out of Doran. I don't think it's necessarily going to save him in this lane, but...
Makes things easier, you know?
Yeah, certainly will. Much needed money, and he did manage to pick that one up himself as well, which is certainly good news.
And they knew they had the flash earlier, so there was just no way that Kingo was going to be able to get out if they did commit in. And the timing with the Gnar bar as well worked out super well.
And good use of like the information that they had as well. I mean, you can see the control ward, the Rift Scuttler had been taken on the top side as well. I think Pyosik has taken all of the subsequent scuttles that we've seen since the initial one. So that's impressive. He's got his Chemtech now just purchased. But Gideon just playing around exactly where that vision was, making sure that he was unseen, and then pounces at the right time. Not that it really felt like he needed to. So Doran did a lot of damage, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, in a different world, if Kingen plays this a little bit more passively, and this ends up being like, it ends up costing him even more when he's so significantly behind his jungle. So you can definitely thank his lucky stars that it worked out.
Yeah. Well, Kingen's back here, continuing to shove. Like, it's he's not going to be deterred, as it looks.
Nope, and Pyosik wants more.
Yeah, he's booking it over here as Doran just, oh my god, he evaporated! Pyosik picks up the turret aggro so comfortably, and now they're going to be able to put Shelly into it as well. And yeah, I mean, it was a great moment for KT earlier on, but this is going to be way worse than just that kill.
It's a full turret, and you know what? Might even see a second charge here on the Rift Herald.
Zeus, okay. Solka going to be throwing some things at him. Bubble, not going to connect though. So good fancy footwork as Gideon's going to be able to take the second Drake of the game, 50-50 on whether or not it's going to be a Cloud Soul, but I think we all know what it's going to be.
He gets the second charge here, and he actually might get the turret, Atlas. Like, he is just going to double turret.
Oh, God.
What's up? He gets the full 2 charges, no contest.
I want to see the goal gap between our top laners.
I'm sure we're about to.
It's about 3K as far as the teams, but I have a feeling that that's mostly in this Jace now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like a little bit in the jungle gap as well. But,
yeah, potentially.
But I think probably like 80% of that money is on the Jace. I mean, he's 30 CS up on top of it all. plus the turret plates he got, and the whole extra turret. So
yeah, and all the local gold. Oh man.
So I mean, like, this is a really good start here. I don't think you could overstate that here for Kingen.
And it's also an Infernal Soul, which is
True.
pretty nutty for a comp that does have the Jace and the Zoe that want to be able to get that poke to register. You add Infernal Soul to that and you're feeling real good about it, but it does mean that they're going to have to win fights around these dragons, and team fights is what KT's comp theoretically does the best. But look at this, look at the damage, like, my god.
I mean, it's just super easy when you have an Udyr who has lane prio like this, because he could just walk up and set up stuns, and Jace, as long as he just presses all of his buttons, he's going to get the kill.
Yeah.
He's got a super early Eclipse, and, I mean, it's just as simple as that, unfortunately. So, going into this next, engage that we're going to have, I mean, it's going to be a while from now, like, basically DRX has 2 junglers now, because Kingen is like, he's already got on both turrets, and he can just roam around the map. He's going to have vision control, and Doran is like never going to be safe. He actually is constantly going to be under threat of being killed by this Udyr, who's just already got his chem tank. And look at where he is on the map right now. There's vision that he's actually trying to avoid here, but guess who's about to die? It's back to orange buff territory here.
Absolutely, and he has no flash. His Nabar is in a decent spot, but he should be able to hop over this wall. Bit of a fadeaway there with the boomerang as well, so made him look a little bit silly. Of course, champions that can jump over walls do tend to do that to good old Udyr, unfortunately, is Bao. Taking a lot of damage here from Hybrid, who supercharges after him. Zeus going to come in as there's the Killer Instinct. Bao getting dove on here by Zeus. Pretty nicely done so far, as Gideon's going to turn up. Bao just trying to walk it out. Becca going to block the spear, though. And that means Bao is going to be safe. Doesn't even have to flash, actually, after all was said and done. Just the heal going to be put on cooldown.
Yeah. It was actually really well handled by DRX. And very calm. Becca, he's so good at this Alistar. And DRX have like all the cards right now across the map, and it's going to be really difficult for KT to kind of snatch up a victory here outside of just straight up team fighting. And yeah, their comp is going to scale really well with the Victor if they can stabilize here. But look at the gold in terms of turret plates that DRX is ahead at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this comp is really strange. Like, they have no frontline, really, because Doran's super anemic this game and doesn't exactly build actual tank stats until pretty late in the game, if at all, right? Sometimes you just build Sterix and a GA, right? And that's a bruiser build, right?
Yeah.
That's not a tank build. And then who do they have to, like, no one can soak poke. And that's exactly what DRX are going to be doing. They're going to be throwing out these paddle stars. Like, this is the dream situation for the DRX composition, because everyone's squishy.
Yeah, everyone's squishy. I mean, they don't even have a tank support, like, on top of it all, so...
And they're like a wombo combo engage composition. Yeah. But DRX just sort of like, they want to kite back. They want to be able to play around getting these shock blasts to land, and then they send in the cow.
And the vision issue we were talking about. Okay.
What?
Boomerang steal.
All right, I take it all back. Doran's the best player in the world.
He actually stole that. I mean, okay.
Was that?
Count your blessings, KT Rolster. He is the best top laner, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's like it's already confirmed. Doesn't really matter what happens in the laning phase. If you can steal Shirley away.
It's it's Shirley, it's second Rift Herald, so it's not that significant, but it has a part to play. They're not even able to get the eye. They just stole the gold and deny the eye, which is significant, sure, at this point, especially when that would have meant mid turret for Zoe. And you know how I feel about that.
Doran?
Doran.
Okay.
Zeus is here, that's why he's flirting with death, but...
I think if Zeus goes in, like, maybe he just dies, like...
Kingan's, like, not sure. He's like, who is in the bush? He's like, is it Zeus? And this team was like, yes, it's Zeus.
I mean, it could have been Yukao, and that could have been a bit scary, because he does damage. A bit.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen too much of it so far as... Here's a teleport, and we've got Doran trying to gank onto Kingan as the... Quickness does come out. He gets hammered back just a little bit there, as Yukao will finally make it up towards the top side. Stridebreaker finally in effect here for Doran, as Kingan tries to get round the alcove, but he's not going to be able to do it. But that's an investment of 3 people towards that top side, and now DRX with control absolutely everywhere else. Yukao is going to have to teleport back mid in order to take some control. So double teleports utilized, and they still lose the outer turret on the bottom side of the map and the first Infernal Drake I'm going to go so
Yes.
far as to say that was not worth it.
It's not worth it, but you know, you have to take your W's where you can. I think if you're KT, and I mean, it's really unfortunate. I mean, they spent so many resources to do this. I mean, basically, Zeus was gone for a really long time, which is what sets up that bottom to be pushed so hard. And look at the if you look at the minimap while this is happening, because we know how he dies. It's very simple. But if you look at the minimap, it's like, look at where a hybrid is. He's like, well, I got to get out of here. Like they're going to trade a kill back, so he has to leave, and then it's a free Drake and a free turret at the same time. And this was so well played. This is actually the boomerang steal.
Oh, it was the return boomerang?
It's even better.
What the hell? Oh my god, that would have been like the Herald must have been down to like 10 health or something, because like, I mean, that's the second hit of the boomerang. That doesn't do as much damage. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, he must have just missed smite slightly, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're not being contested, right? So it's not exactly like a time where you're like, oh, I gotta make sure I pay attention to the numbers, but that's just...
Next time there's an R, though, he will, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Next time he's like, well, watch those boomerangs.
Damn, that's impressive. That is very impressive. I assume it was 100% a mistake.
Yeah.
But,
hey,
sorry, an accident, not a mistake. Because it's still good. But I don't know whether it was entirely intentional and meant that way.
You go for those, you know? But now, I mean, DRX get this mid turret. They've already gotten the bottom side totally locked up here. This King, and he's just so confident. He does not care, even if Gideon's here.
But this is exactly what DRX want, right?
Yeah.
They want control of the map, they want control of the vision, and they are continuing to do that. And you can see taking all of the turrets that they can find. And yeah, you know, they're down on kills, things like that, but it doesn't really matter. Like, Kingen is still doing his job, and he needs to keep doing this. He needs to keep pushing as far as he can, because that's what this comp sort of relies on. It relies on him having side lane pressure, and then the rest of the team being able to break open the map and cause man disadvantages and create leads that way.
Yeah, I mean, look at the wards you can see on the blue side of the map at the bottom. It's just like, there's not a brush unchecked. There's not any place that KT can move around the bottom side of the map that they don't know about. And look where they're headed now. Okay, well, let's do the same on the top side of the map. Let's clear vision. Let's take all these wards away and start threatening Baron plays, potentially make KT Rolster come to us, because they can't fight us right now, and they might not be able to fight us for the rest of the game. Depends on, you know, how things go, if there are some mistakes made. But you have to respect DRX here if you're KT, and they're taking your vision away. So now you're like, well, I got to sit back and wait, but that's scary, and their comp needs to farm up UCal as much as possible. But look at where he is right now. He's just not able to get onto the map. He's waiting for top waves.
And that's exactly what this situation does for DRX, right? Is that you get to now suffocate Gideon out of his jungle. He becomes way less relevant. It's sort of the power of these Udyr compositions when they're played correctly, because they also have no one that can safely ward. So who goes to get vision around Baron, to get vision around the Drake, to try and deny these Infernal Souls that are potentially going to come around? Like, Rakan is not tanky enough to get into that jungle and save 100% leak it out today. That's the problem. They come out of his headset as well. So that's why he needs the pause. He's like, no, I'm losing it. Well, let's see if we can put it back in, as we've got about, you know, 15 CS advantage here for the Victor in the mid lane, but he has otherwise done basically nothing. Got that Verdant barrier now built up. We'll be heading towards that Banshee's Veil as soon as he possibly can.
Yep, same with Solka. As you can see the duel here.
Oh, Chaos Storm actually going down here as UCal looking to really get him out of there, as that's actually his real flash, of course. Solka's going to give UCal the respect he deserves. I like that.
Yeah, you know, in some of these straight-up skirmishes like this, too, especially where you don't know where Rakan is, you really do have to respect that if you're Solka. So, small victory here for UCal.
Yeah.
Certainly could add up later. Okay, this isn't it.
Kanan is, he's an angry boy. And he's got a teleport coming through for support as well. Doran's going to have to flash. And Solka teleporting down towards that bottom side just to add an assist.
And yeah, I don't mind the teleport here either, even though the escape is real, because this actually gives them such good positional advantage now on this Drake. Their second Infernal, so the timing of this, it had two benefits, right? The teleport.
Yeah.
So now if you're KT, like, you don't want to contest this because it's not a fight you could take, but you can't give it up. But you're in a catch-22 situation here.
They do have vision, though. We haven't actually swept out this trap in the wall. It doesn't actually matter because, of course, the Drake is going to evaporate. Kingan's there, and that sort of means that they have plenty of damage to take that one down.
They made no choice, KT. They didn't contest, nor did they go elsewhere on the map. They just kind of watched it go down. It was like their game plan was to steal it with a Void Seeker, and then or a Spear, and they were like, okay, if that doesn't work, then just out of luck, I guess. That's really unfortunate for KT, but I mean, they just can't fight yet. Like, they just need UCal to get those items completed. It's because Banshee's Veil now.
I'm trying to work out when they can fight Wolf. That's my issue, is I don't know whether this composition necessarily outscales. Like, yes, Victor does a lot of late game damage. Theoretically, the same could be said for Kai'Sa, but I mean, Xayah's real good late game as well. Like, you include the chaos that all these bubbles flying around from the Zoe's going to give, the fact that Pyosik is going to be so tanky, and also this stun bot that can really be a problem.
Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying about the lack of a tank, right? If you had any sort of tankiness with this composition, then you could maybe buy time for UCal to do that damage, but there's just so much.
Well, Doran as well, he's going to have his wallop ran out of the way from, as Pyosik is going to get around there, but does make it back to relative safety, and Gideon was in the area, so not going to be punished just yet. He's pulled back the farm quite nicely, to be honest, as Doran, but whether it's going to be enough, as the Banshee's Veils for both of these mid laners circling, as here's the teleport. Doran getting into position. Becca is over here as the headbutt is actually just going to trade places there between Zeus and Becca. That was very strange.
Becca is such a good Alistar player, though. He knows exactly where he needs to be, and he's obviously suffered to match the rotations of the Rakan, but he's always where he needs to be when these teleports are coming through. And like,
I love this, though.
Yeah, he nullifies the teleport play, and now King gets a turret. So you're still winning as DRX here, unfortunately.
But they also don't take the fight. Like, there are a lot of teams that would have seen that and they're like, oh, but maybe we can just fight them and win here. But DRX realized that they don't even need to go for it. They don't have to try and make that play, because Kingan is now being given all of this space bottom side. So they take yet another turret. They extend that lead ever further. It's still only about 4K, so it's not exactly, like, insurmountable.
Zeus running into, or rather Becca running into Zeus over there is where that... That's a visual bug that makes Alistar look like he's surfing on an invisible surfboard.
Yeah, in the sky.
So luckily, it's an easy fix. Usually a restart will do it.
I want to know why it's just... It feels like it's just the Alistar that just tends to go into the sky sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think someone actually, like, figured it out. I remember seeing a post about this where someone was like, this is why this happens. It should be fixable. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what the reason was. But
something spaghetti, something.
Yeah, I mean, definitely related to that.
Yep. Well, 2 minutes until we've got that very decisive fight on our hands. Becca's going to walk over some traps. There's a lot of vision here down that DRX is going to have to deal with, but they're just immediately going to dive onto the Baron.
I mean, they have so much. There's clear speed is insane at this stage. And even though there's so much vision here for KT, like KT are not here at all. Like, not even close to here, nowhere near.
It's just stolen.
They shouldn't expect this, and it's like, Wayne, where do you think they were?
Oh, that bubble was beautiful. Grand entrance is going to come through, but the headbutt pole is just too good. And DRX, they turn a Baron into a pick, and then they'll be able to turn all of this into the Infernal Soul if they would like to. But before that, there's a bit of a date with the inner turret here in the mid lane. So far, like, just the macro play out of DRX, their play around the controller they've had in the lanes has just been beautiful.
I mean, like, you said it really well when you said they kind of choked KT out, right? I mean, there's just not much you can do as KT when there's very little vision, and even if you do have vision of, you know, like, because they had a little bit of vision that we were just talking about earlier, if you have vision, you're just unable to deal with this, and this is just a bubble that hits so far away. And yeah, I mean, he tries to buffer it away, but there's a follow-up knock-up there from the Alistar, super easy cleanup.
Yeah.
And like, you know, if you try to contest the Baron, I don't think you could take that fight either. But, you know, you do neither again, but, like, it's not KT's fault at this point. It's not like they're doing all the wrong macro decisions here. There's just not many decisions they can make that are smart. You know, you're picking your poison rather than trying to choose the right move.
But also, like, they sort of dug this hole for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the problem. It's like, it's not their fault recently, but it is still their fault. It's just the problem happened a long time ago as UCal is going to teleport in to death. That was, He's done this before. Some of his teleports have been questionable, and now the rest of KT have been routed. You think you're going to outrun an Udyr even with all of your ultimates trying to push him back? The answer is no. His Bow is flashing forward. The bubble's going to connect as well as Doran knows that he's dead. But DRX are not done yet. Goshik finds his target. So does the Shock Blast. Gideon's going to die. Goes golden for a moment just to see what's going to happen, and death is what's going to happen, Wolf. And DRX may not even need to go and get themselves an Infernal Soul. They might just win the game.
Yep, I mean, they're going to use a stopwatch here to actually get this turret. The minions will finally arrive, but I think they are just going to go for the end. There's just simply no reason to push the issue and go back when they have Baron minions. And that's going to be it. DRX, very convincing game, great macro control, vision control, start to finish. This is a great example game of how to play your comp to its fullest potential and to shut out KT Rolster.